this guy Campbell that won the golf tournament yesterday. I had never really heard of him.
Brian Campbell.
But he's won 2 tournaments this year.
He has.
And anyway, they asked him about it later, and he said, well, my preparation got better. And I also heard Arthur Ashe won Wimbledon 50 years ago.
That's right.
And one of his famous sayings was, preparation builds confidence, and confidence will lead to success. So if you're well prepared early, and then you build confidence through winning, that can carry you on throughout the rest of the year, hopefully.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome in to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Coach Spurrier will be in today. Can't wait to talk to him. Jeff Cardozo is actually going to join us for Yes, No, Where, or Maybe, because Robbie is taking his son to the beach because he's starting his vacation. That was an agreement they made, and we all agree with that. So we'll be off Thursday. There'll be no show on Thursday, and I'll be over at the beach. I'm going to have some fun, just mainly just chilling out more than anything. That's what we do over there, and we're very good at it. And so then we'll be back Monday with another show. And then Blake Alderman is going to join us the following Thursday. And Blake is going to become our new recruiting guy. And again, he's going to give us a little bit of information, but we're going to try to do recruiting segments once a week. And to be honest with you, we're looking for a sponsor for that because we want to be able to pay Blake to allow him to have that kind of freedom to be aggressive with it. And, say, hey, I got to be there. I'm getting paid by it. That's one thing I learned a long time ago. But anyway, I'm looking forward to getting him on to do that. And if anybody's interested in being a sponsor of our recruiting updates or whatever we want to call it, we haven't even come up with a name for it yet, but we're going to work on that. But Blake will join us next Thursday. All right, let us move along to a segment that is very well sponsored, and that is our Royal Blue starting five. Appreciate Randy Royal over at Royal Blue. We're actually going to sit down with him. He may be a guy who gets interested in sponsoring this, so you better jump on it because I know he wants to even do more with the podcast, and we were excited to hear that news. We have a couple of people that want to do more with the podcast, so fired up about that. And we'll continue to do that. All right, let's get to number one, our Royal Blue starting five, and that is Florida recruiting has been good, not great, is the best way I would put it. The big story today was this kid, Keenan. I don't know. He's a cornerback from Sarasota. And this is why I'm bringing in experts to talk about recruiting because it's such a big deal. And he did not come and went to FSU instead. I think it was Florida, Georgia, FSU, and FSU got him, came up with the money. We saw an offensive lineman that Florida really thought they were going to be able to get. I know he was listed as as either or, and ended up going to A&M because they're paying him $5.1 million, the first $5 million offensive lineman. Will be the last, I can tell you that. Look. A&M is going all in on everything. They went all in on softball, got them all the way to the final. They're going all in on football. Maybe they'll go all in on basketball now. We'll see. But they're definitely going all in on football. And so Florida's kind of been the victim of that. But they're doing okay. But I think people thought after that really good season that Florida would kill it. Now, they just got last week C.J. Hesser, another DB, and pretty good player. You have to look at these things. I think Florida's ranked 15 or 16 in the rankings right now. They haven't gotten 13 commitments. So if they get 26 commitments, guess what? That number's going to go way up. But you got to get better players. And I think that is where people are having a little bit of problem with this, is you put together, and again, it's not everybody, I'm just saying some people, you put together this unbelievable presentation. You've got Spurrier's here. You've got the new building, Heavener building. You've got all the great traditions that are Florida. What you don't have is as much money as some people have. And that is still the problem. And I know that everybody's tired of people asking them for money, but the problem is Florida can't pay what some schools can pay. It's just the way it is, man. And in some cases, they don't want to pay them. For example, Denzel Aberdeen. Florida didn't want to pay that kind of money, $2 million. Somebody did, Kentucky. Anyway, it's, like I said, it's going, and they're supposed to get a cup. I know there's one that's supposed to come in today, I'm hearing, and there's another couple that I think it can turn around. I don't know that can be better than a top 10 class, but top 10 class, look, either you believe in your coach or you don't. If you believe in his ability to develop players, which is, to me, the biggest thing that you can do. I mean, recruiting is big, but if you don't develop the player, it doesn't mean anything. So we'll just keep an eye on it. And again, we're going to have Blake in here next week, and he'll be able to tell us a lot more about it. All right, let's move along to number 2 on our Royal Blues starting 5. I was looking at some spreads today, and the reason I was looking at one of them was that A.J. McCarron came out. I don't know what say came out on radio. He on radio said things about the quarterback from FSU, really from Boston College, Castellanos, who, of course, for those of you who don't know the story, and we talked about it before, Castellanos said they don't have Nick Saban to save him. I tore up the ACC. No, you didn't. He's kind of bragging, and you're just firing up Alabama, which is dumb. You don't poke that bear, okay? That Bear Bryant may not be there, but there's a bear there. You don't poke it. But McCarron came out and was saying, how do you talk smack, man? I mean, what have you done? You haven't done anything. And so this is talking season, baby. This is what makes talking season great. But I looked it up, and here's FSU is playing Alabama at home. They are 12.5-point underdogs. That doesn't sound like you're brimming with confidence there. At least they aren't in Vegas. I looked up some others. Texas is 3 points over Ohio State. And then I started looking up Florida's, the teams they play. They are underdogs in 5 games right now. 5 games. So everybody who's all excited about 12-1 or 10-2, they're going to be underdogs unless things change drastically in at least 5 games. It could be more, depending on what Tennessee and FSU do in the back end of the season. Depends on, I don't see Mississippi State being favored over them, but maybe Kentucky gets off to a good start and they're favored over them because they're at home. But right now, Florida is an underdog in 5 games. And that when you talk about the over-under being 6.5, that's why. Because you're not favored in that many games. And certainly 5 losses, if you lose as an underdog, is not going to be acceptable here at Florida now. We're done with that 5-loss stuff, okay? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this team. I keep going back and forth, and I wrote about it in my column. You can read more about it at WRUF.com. But let's get to number 3, and that is another thing that I was thinking about today, because sometimes you just start thinking, and it's dangerous with me. But I was thinking about this, and I got up to look it up. I was literally in bed at 6:30 in the morning. I went, let me go look that up, so I was curious anyway. And so this is Billy Napier as a football coach at the University of Florida. He has never gotten to October 1st without 2 losses. That's probably a double negative, but I'm still going to use it. So they've had at least 2 losses. They've had 2 losses every year. In fact, they're 7-6 before October 1st. And this is the reason I'm bringing this up. Billy talks a lot about how much he learned. I learned from this, I learned from that, I learned from this thing. One thing he's got to learn is how to get going early. I mean, last year's opener was embarrassing. The year before's opening was more embarrassing, to be honest with you. Even though you lost at home last year in the opener, 2 years ago, you go out there and you have 12 guys on the field and 2 guys wearing the same jersey, and you get beat on by a backup quarterback. That was really bad. You got to play better in the early games. Now, obviously, they're not losing to Long Island. I don't think they're losing to USF. But when you have that opening that they have at LSU, at Miami, Texas, you got to find a way to win some of those games. So we'll see how it works out. But, Billy, I hope you learned that over the offseason, how to get off to a fast start. All right, let's move to number 4 on our Royal Blue starting 5, which is that, we don't like to talk about portal and all this and guys coming in. Well, who's doing a really good job right now? Actually, both of them are doing a really good job, or both the coaches that use bats, and that is Kevin O'Sullivan and Tim Walton. Tim Walton feels like every day I'm getting a new player. Some of them are transfers, some of them are recruits. But Sully it feels like, has got his infield set now for next year. And again, you think you do, and then you have injuries. Like it was set this year, and then Curlin goes out, and then Shelton goes out. You had a lot of problems there, and obviously Heyman going out. Although, he's mostly a catcher, but he did play some first. And it meant you had to put Donay at catcher, and then you couldn't play him at first. But what he has signed enough guys, including Sam Miller, shortstop from Columbia. I think he started every 100 games. And again, it's not the SEC. I get it. But the kid they got yesterday, Ethan should I even try the name Sorofsik? Sorofsik is a third baseman who didn't play a lot for Ole Miss, but when he played, he was very effective. And they really think he's going to be good. So you got him at third, Miller at second. You put Curlin. I would think Curlin's coming back, since his brother's going to play for Florida. And then at first base, you get Lawson. So we'll see how that all works out. But it feels like they're doing a really good job of getting this thing together. You also got a catcher named Cole Stanford who's got great numbers. Now, they were at Lenoir-Rhyne. That's Division II. I know, but you never know until you see these guys. But they are building a really good roster. And I think Sully has gone head first into not letting a year like last year happen again. Although, if you get that many injuries, you're going to probably struggle. Most places. I don't know of any place you wouldn't struggle. All right. Finally, let's get to number 5 on our Royal Blue starting 5. And that is the All-Star Game rosters were announced. 3 Braves made it. Olson, Acuna, and Sale. No Soto, no Betts. I'm trying to get excited about the All-Star Game. I used to love the All-Star Game. Loved it. But it just seems like now that the American League and National League are playing against each other all the time, doesn't have the same cachet it used to have. And it's become too loud. Like everybody is screaming. I'm not a big fan of the All-Star Game anymore. I used to watch it. But it is, I will say this, it's the best All-Star Game of all of them because all of them stink. Pro football doesn't even have one anymore, basically. Basketball one's terrible. Hockey's, unwatchable. So it's the best, and I'll probably watch it next week. Now, the thing that you have to deal with is you also have SEC Media Days next week, and I'll watch that, that. And what else is going on next week in Atlanta? Something besides the All-Star Game. Oh, Beyonce is going to be in concert. But you also have the British Open going on next week, too. And that's where my attention will be. Anyway, let us wrap it up. Wrap up the Royal Blue starting 5. Thanks to Randy Royal. We appreciate him. Let's take a break. We'll come back with the HBC See what he's got to say today on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Hey, let's talk about something that's been a real game changer for many people, including me. BMI TeleMed is one of our sponsors. They're the weight loss specialists and can help you tackle that stubborn belly fat. You know, the kind that usually creeps up once you hit your 40s. Bob Parado and Charlie Gonzalez, two UF-trained pharmacists, work with their medical director to prescribe and deliver the same meds that helped me lose 50 pounds. Yep, 50 pounds. That belly fat, it's not just about looks. It's unhealthy and makes you feel sluggish. Now is the time to do something about it before football season rolls around again. If you're anywhere in Florida, BMI TeleMed, simple online telehealth platform makes it easy. Your weight loss meds get delivered right to your door fast. From my experience, you feel full sooner, eat less, but can keep enjoying the foods that you love, just in smaller portions. Plus, it helps with blood sugar and cravings. Do yourself a favor, head to bmitelemed.com to set up a free private consultation. No obligations, no contracts. These Gators know their stuff. You'll look better, feel better, and be healthier. Visit bmitelemed.com today. Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And of course, Meldon Mondays, it's always with Coach Spurrier, almost always. And you're over at the beach this weekend, I know that. Saw some pictures of you over there, and I'm sure you had a good time. But you're like me, about 4 days, 5 days.
4 or 5 days, you get beached out. Yeah. But anyway, we've been going to the Crescent Beach July 4th week or weekend, 5 days or so. Way back since the 70s, I guess, when we started having babies and kids. So I think we've done it 30, 40 years, something like that. 40 years, I believe.
I think I was at both of those houses, too. The one on Intercoastal and the other one on the beach. I think,
Well, we're at Coquina Condo now.
Yeah, you're at the condo now, yeah.
Yeah, that's where our condo. So
That's
they rent them out, though, because they certainly don't live there year-round.
Well, it certainly is not the most exciting time of the year for sports, although we are coming up on – think about what next week's going to be like in Atlanta. You're going to have the All-Star Game in Atlanta, SEC Media Days in Atlanta.
Oh, that's right.
Beyonce's singing in Atlanta. It's going to be nuts up there. I don't know how they're going to deal with all that, but
They'll make a splash, though.
Well.
SEC Media Day is turned into sort of a big production. And they do it upright, and they get the word out about the SEC. I'll say that.
they do. And I don't know if you heard this story about the Big 12 said we don't want the media voting on the predicted order finish anymore. We don't want them doing it because last year they had Oklahoma State number one. They went 0-9, and then they had Arizona State, the last team, and they won the league. So I'm like, well, that just means they were wrong. That's all it means. I mean, I think they're harmless fun to me. I don't know why people lose their mind. Maybe it's coaches that got upset about it. I don't know.
It is interesting. my first year here, we were not in the top 25. But after the first game, we were in it for 12 years. So it really doesn't matter. As soon as we won that first game, we jumped to 15, and then we jumped to top 10 right after that. So you can climb pretty fast if you play very well.
Oh, I remember Napier's first year. They won that first game against Utah, and they went from, I think, unranked to number 10. And I'm like, whoa, that's way too much, guys. They just won one game by, one play. So, but that is part of it. I did want to talk to you, too, a little bit about getting your team ready for two things. One is playing on the road, and the second is early in the season. Because I talked about a stat with Coach Napier. He's never gotten to October without 2 losses on his schedule. And I think that's what they've got to do more than anything is start fast.
Start faster.
Yeah. And get off to a good start. Because you got these 4 ridiculous games that you got to play. They're underdogs in all 4 of them.
Yeah, the schedule for everybody is tough, and nobody has an easy schedule. So it is important to get off to a good start if you're going to have a big season. But still, you can salvage a season if you don't do that. But again, you just try to get you guys prepared. Sort of like this guy Campbell that won the golf tournament yesterday. I had never really heard of him.
Brian Campbell.
But he's won 2 tournaments this year.
He has.
And anyway, they asked him about it later, and he said, well, my preparation got better. And I also heard Arthur Ashe won Wimbledon 50 years ago.
That's right.
And one of his famous sayings was, preparation builds confidence, and confidence will lead to success. So if you're well prepared early, and then you build confidence through winning, that can carry you on throughout the rest of the year, hopefully.
And I think preparation is defined differently by different people. But, I mean, the bottom line is preparing. You know what preparing is. If you're Jeff Cardozo and you're doing radio or Mick Hubert or whoever or Sean Kelly, you know how to prepare. And it's a matter of getting prepared and not just going in and just kind of freelancing everything. And especially in football, if you go in and start freelancing, you're just going to get somebody hurt.
Somebody mentioned the other day, football is a sport where coaching is so important. And I think it's probably the most important of all the sports because there's a ball play every down. So the offensive guys, they got to be real sharp to have a good play on. And the defense tries to have a good defense on of what they think the offensive play is going to be. So, if somebody said if there's a good defense for every play, everybody'd be running that defense.
That's right.
So that defense is good for that. That's good for that. That stops a run. That stops a deep pass. That stops blah, blah, blah. And so the coaches that can get the most good plays on offense, and then the defensive coaches that can get the best defense on, those are the winners.
Yep, absolutely.
Because everybody's got good players now. Everybody's got good players.
Well, when I was watching somebody and they were talking about in the NBA, and they were talking about how the coaches don't coach in the NBA. They go, keep playing hard, guys. I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, it's mainly. I mean, you saw Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP. I mean, all it is him getting the ball, saying, "I'm going," and you can't stop me. And trying to hit a off balance shot, but that's the way it is in the NBA. And like college football, that is the beauty of it, is that it's still about who calls the right plays and who has the right defense on.
Right.
It could be as simple as, did you blitz when you should? And you and I are big believers. You never rush 3. So,
Well, 3rd and 30 sometimes you may. But usually put pressure on the quarterback. I remember Mike Krzyzewski one time. I asked him when I was coaching at Duke, I said, if you were a defensive coach, what would you do? He said, well, I'm not exactly sure, but I would get pressure on that quarterback when he's passing. Don't let him just stand there and look around. Get somebody in his face, just get in his face, harass the quarterback when he's passing. And that's what good defenses do. They harass the quarterback. I mean, you don't have to knock him out of the game, but just get in his face, get hands up, and things like that.
You don't have to hit him until the echo of the whistle. Like they did at Florida State.
Well, they call it a little bit better now than they did back in the 90s, fortunately.
Yeah, I bet Danny wishes they were calling it like they do now. Because, man, he got beat up that day, didn't he?
Well, we got revenge about a month later, so it all worked out. Yeah.
It was going into that game in '96 and 97 Sugar Bowl. How confident were you about? I mean, I know that you had Zach and Mo back, and that was a big. Your tackles were back.
Both the offensive tackles were back. That was really the only difference personnel-wise. But we had good preparation all month for the game, and we didn't know it was going to be for the national championship.
Right.
We had to get about 3 other teams to lose to make it the national championship game, and it all worked out for us. So we were prepared because we didn't want them to win it. They were undefeated and hit Danny late, all those games. So we were, we didn't have to say, oops, now let's get ready.
Yeah.
The night before, Arizona State lost, which put the game on the line, national championship for the Sugar Bowl there.
But you were kind of going into it saying, we're going to get you back.
Yeah, we wanted to beat them anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes your goals change. And then all of a sudden, it was for the national championship. The night before is the only time we knew it was going to be for the national championship.
But that's the thing. You were prepared no matter what.
Right.
Yeah. And so
excellent 3 or 4 weeks of preparation, whatever it was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. All right, we can let's get to our Campus USA Play of the Weekend. Of course, our Campus USA Play of the Weekend brought to you by Campus USA, which is where I bank and where Coach banks, and he is a spokesman for them as well. And this was just and look, Ben Shelton is playing right now, but this was after he won. Anytime a Gator, a guy from Gainesville, wins, and you said his sister was there?
Yeah, they just showed her in the stands there, and with his parents. Of course, his dad's his coach.
Yep.
And he's got a good tournament going. Is he the last American standing?
And I think that other guy is Fritz. I think is.
There's one other.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's really cool that he's become he's number 10 seed. So it's not like it's a big surprise, but hopefully he can keep it going. And again, I apologize. We don't know what's happening today because it's literally starting as we're doing the show.
I think I've heard one of them say it's been 25 years since an American won Wimbledon. You know who it was? Not Jimmy Connors.
I would go McEnroe?
Pete Sampras.
Pete Sampras.
Remember Sampras? Yeah, I heard him say that yesterday.
Big server, yeah. He was really good.
And then Arthur Ashe won it 50 years ago.
50 years ago.
Arthur Ashe.
I think Arthur Ashe, if my memory is correct, I think he got a blood transfusion in Jacksonville, and that's where he got AIDS.
That's what.
And it was. I think it was he had surgery in Jacksonville, and I was living in Jacksonville at the time, and I felt like, God, that's terrible that it happened here. That there was.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But anyway, those things happen. I wanted to ask you too about.
But anyway, I
Media
heard.
Day. I was going to ask you about media.
They were
but go
talking
ahead.
about Arthur Ashe. Go back to that just a minute. He had to beat Jimmy Connors in the finals, I think it was. And he said, my coach said, you got to sort of dink him a little bit and lob him a little bit, and this, that, and the other. Don't try to power hit him. And he said, that's what I did, and that it worked. So tennis, there's some coaching in it also.
Oh, yeah.
We think just hit it as hard as you can all the time. But those guys hit that nice little drop shot. I think that's beneficial also.
But that, I mean, like you said, that's the key is you go in with a game plan, and if it changes, it changes, and you have to adjust. I think the coaches and players in individual sports that adjust to what is going on around them are the ones that have that clutch gene and are the most successful because you may go in with a plan, but everything can totally get disrupted right away.
Alcaraz and the Russian guy yesterday, I've never seen two guys hit the ball that hard. They swung as hard as they could and kept it in the ballpark in balance about the whole time too. But I said, golly, I don't know how they do that. But Alcaraz really played well to beat the Russian guy.
Yeah, the first time I heard his name, somebody said Carlos Alcaraz, and I'm like, the Cuban Comet? He played for Florida. He was a wide receiver.
Carlos,
he's too old to be playing there.
Alcaraz, yeah.
But, I did want to ask you about Media Days coming up next week, and I'm sure you don't miss that. But it's gotten to a point where you get these 16 teams. It just feels like, oh, gosh. How you going to squeeze them all in?
Media Day. I'll tell you what, the most fun part of Media Day was my very first one here, 1990.
Yep.
Norm Carlson, our sports information director, said, Steve, they have a media sports writers scramble the day before the meetings and so forth. Said, you want to play? I said, yeah, I guess so. I'll coming up with you, right?
Yeah.
He said, yeah. So we go up and we won the thing. Norm Carlson said that's the only golf tournament he ever won. But we got the trophies, and we played with two people from one of our sponsors, and a guy and lady, Julie Strauss. I forget the sponsor, but anyway.
Golden Flakes?
Golden Flakes,
Yeah.
yes, Golden Flakes.
But
that gave us
whenever
some-
you're wondering about
yeah.
who's sponsoring the SEC,
So,
just say Golden Flakes.
If you don't think winning's important, he and I talked about that the next 50 years. I guess it was 1990. Well, that's not 50, but anyway,
No,
next
it's-
30.
but it's,
Next 30 anyway.
yeah, 35, yeah.
30, 35. Yeah.
I actually finished second in that tournament.
You up there?
A few years later. No,
Okay.
not that tournament.
okay.
But a few years later, I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and play because I'd always heard about the tournament and
Yeah.
I never got to play. So I went and played and finished second. And
Yeah.
they called me up and I got free golf balls or something out
Yeah.
of it. But
So we go to the head coaches meetings, and I see a bunch of guys that play golf.
Yeah.
Johnny Majors and those guys. I said, "How come you didn't play in the sports writers golf event?" You don't play golf during football season. I said, "Well, nobody told me that." I'm not worried about that. We'll be all right.
I don't think
But
that was a problem
No,
for
they
you,
didn't
yeah.
want the fans to think they were playing golf the day before.
that's what they're afraid of. They'll get a picture and they'll be up,
Yeah.
Back then there was no internet, but
Yeah, they get on Hugh Freeze a little bit, but
they do, yeah.
he's supposed to play 20 times in the last 35 days or something. I don't know what it was.
Kentucky fans are pointing out that their coach doesn't play golf, so
Kentucky?
yeah.
Well, they don't have a lot of wins to brag about right now. Yeah, it's
They don't.
immaterial. If you're losing, they'll find something you should be
Right.
doing better.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. We'll let Coach go unless you got anything else you want to talk about, Coach.
That's about it, I think.
Yep.
That
Well-
golfer, Campbell,
Yep.
I think his is a good story also.
It is a very good story.
That he prepared differently. He was sort of just a very average
Yep.
golfer.
Sure was.
And he kept working really hard at it, he said, and then gained confidence.
Yeah.
He's won 2 tournaments. Amazing.
That's what I need to do. Work hard. I'm not working hard enough at it.
Anyway.
All right. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast right after this break.
All right, dude.
Here are just a few reasons why doing business with the Royal Blue puts you at the helm of your boating lifestyle. 1, the longer we have your listing, the lower percentage commissions you will pay. 2, survey reimbursement for qualified buyers. 3, detail reimbursement for qualified sellers. 4, on-the-water delivery orientation availability. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294. Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great.
Ho, all the way from the North Pole. It's me, Santa Claus. I'm here with my friend Steve Spurrier for an amazing Christmas in July offer.
Spurrier's Gridiron gift cards are on sale for 20% off.
Coach, how do they get them?
You can go to spurriers.com and order a digital card or stop by my restaurant in Celebration Point and pick some up today.
Thanks for being my holiday helper in July, Coach. Hurry, this special Christmas in July offer is for this month only. Ho, ho, ho.
Coach, you know, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila. aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Sonderos Tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Sonderos Tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Sonderos.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging and coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It's always fun when we can bring on our good friend Jeff Cardozo for Yes, No, Where, Maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, and I know that he knows Keith Miller very well and has had some Big Mills cheesesteaks in his life.
Quite a few. Had the burger the last time, actually. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of different options.
No, it's
But
great.
I sat in the Braves chair the last time, and they suck now. So I'm never sitting in that chair again.
What are they, 2-9 in the last 11 games?
They keep losing close games, keep getting hurt. I think it's kind of crazy and give up by the All-Star break.
I know. Well, I mean, they got that run going. They swept the Mets, and I'm like, okay, we're back. And then, right off the edge.
Yep.
All right. We're going to play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with Jeff. And usually we play with Robbie. Robbie's got something else he had to deal with today. But it's always great that Jeff is able to step in and go deep as a pinch hitter. You got to like that. All right.
I like it.
Yes, No, Where, Maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. You go in there and say you listen to this. I actually heard from somebody today that he said that every time I go in there, I mention the podcast and I get free fries with my order, and you can get free fries with your order. Yep. All right, let's go. Yes, No, Where, Maybe. Number one, Jeff Cardozo. Kevin O'Sullivan has his infield set for next year.
Yeah, I think at this point, with the latest couple of additions, I would say yes. You've got, and I mean, Curlin's still got to come back, so that's obviously going to be a big part of things. But I mean, you got a great shortstop, a veteran to replace Shelton, another transfer that would play third, and then of course Lawson, who's tearing it up in the Cape Cod League and was a freshman All-American to play first. I think they always thought all along that they'd shift Lawson back to third after his first year, but that experiment didn't go too well. So let's keep him a first baseman and be all right.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting, but I mean, the kid that he was talking about, we mentioned earlier from Ole Miss, is probably going to be the third baseman. And I was going to ask you this too, Jeff, though. Do you think Cade Curlin's decision will be based on the fact that his brother, who's got a weird first name, and I'm blanking on it. What is his first name? Curlin's.
You had to put, yeah.
It's a different name. It's all, but
it is, and I should know it. The
cool
Curlin
name,
family is going to get mad at me for that, but no, I think that's a part of transitioning and why he decided to flip and come to Florida. I think that's all part of it, and then Pops is obviously really involved. It's a great family, and they've got an opportunity to maybe watch both of them at the same place. Yeah. I think that's a pretty cool deal. So, and listen, you know it. I said Curlin was going to be the best hitter on the team last year, and we got a small sample size. He was off to a great start and then gets hurt. So, I'd love to see a healthy Cade Curlin for a whole year.
All right, let's get to number two on Yes, No, Where, Maybe, and that is that the Tigers are the story of the first half of the season in Major League Baseball.
I guess you would say yes. I mean, certainly. It's a young team, but I would probably say yes. There's no other team that's just been absolutely on a tear that's completely surprising everybody. I think a lot of people felt the Tigers were going to be good, but it's fun to see. I mean, obviously you're playing way up in Detroit where the fan base isn't the best, but I think they're starting to support it, and you've got a really good young team, and I mean Spencer Torkelson's starting to figure it out, and it's a good. You got Green, who was actually a Gator signee that would have been loved to see on campus several years ago, and he's starting to tear it up. He'll be an all-star, so. It'd be fun to see them pull that thing off. So, yes.
Yeah. It's interesting to watch how this, and it's kind of come out of nowhere. to be honest with you. All right, finally on Yes, Nowhere, maybe with the great Jeff Cardozo, the Yankees and Mets lead the wild card in their respective leagues, but they've been big disappointments this year.
Yeah, I would say not big disappointments. So maybe would be the answer to that question. I think there's still a lot of time, certainly, and when you're in the hunt and you have the talent that both of those clubs do, then I think you're going to be okay. So Pete's having a great year, which is awesome. Sucks that he's not going to do the home run derby, but maybe that'll help him. I think he's not had a good couple of runs down the stretch, always doing the home run derby. So I think he tries to mix it up this year and do something different. And then, other Yankees are going to have to step up. Obviously, you've got a great one in Judge, but you can almost pitch around him. So, but again, it's all going to come down to pitching. That's what it's all about. That's why the Tigers are so good. They got maybe the best pitcher in the league. So if you can get some good front arm rotation guys, and obviously Garrett Cole's not there, and Max Fried has come back to earth a little bit for the Yanks. So we'll see how it's all played out. But let's hope both of them don't make it. But maybe would be the answer to your tremendous question.
Rooting against both of them, but it could happen. We'll let you go, Jeff. We know you're busy, but we appreciate you coming on short notice to do this Yes, Nowhere, maybe. Thanks, buddy.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jules.
All right. See you later, Jeff Cardozo. All right. Well, we appreciate Jeff Cardozo for coming on, and we appreciate everybody, whoever comes on our show, and we'll keep having fun with it. All right. Let's get to our Los Landeros smooth move of the week. Los Landeros Tequila. My choice, Urban Meyer's choice. If you want to go beyond, it is the tequila to have, Los Landeros Tequila. Our smooth move of the week was Pete Alonso. We talked about it, but Alonso not doing the home run derby. I know that everybody wants him to do it and wants to see him hit a bunch of homers, but he's playing well. And, yeah, sometimes you've got two of them already you've won. Why not just say, let somebody else try to do it. Let's not screw up my swing with this contest. And I think that's kind of what it is. Again, he's won it twice. I think that's a smooth move to just say, you guys go ahead and do this. You do it on your own. So I agree with that. He is our Los Landeros smooth move of the week, Pete Alonso, former Gator, of course. Let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. And our Gator of the weekend is going to be Liam Peterson. Liam Peterson, for those of you who don't know, has been with the USA team trying to make the team. He made it yesterday, so he will be able to tour Japan playing baseball. Pretty good deal there, buddy. And, Liam, of course, didn't have a great year this year. I think it was okay, but there were times when he struggled, especially late in the year, maybe got a little bit tired. But now this is going to be really something to help him go forward and give him a lot of confidence. So he is our Gator of the weekend, or the week, I'm sorry. Yeah, the weekend. Liam Peterson, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting what day it is. See, this is the thing. I'm getting ready to go to the beach, so what day is it? I don't know. I don't care anymore. Let's get a move along to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick. Of course, we pulled the winner last week, so we'll start a new qualification this week. Mets at the Orioles Wednesday. Look, all we got is baseball, man. I could give you some golf, but maybe I'll give you some golf Thursday. We're not doing a show Thursday, so next Thursday I'll give you some golf. Maybe we'll give you some golf Monday. All right, so that is our Leonardo chance to get in on Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. Mets at O's is your game. It's a Wednesday night game, so you got plenty of time to get in. And I need to go back over there and see Kyle when I get back. We talked about it. We keep missing each other to get the new gift certificates for our new winners. All right, let's move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. And Sponge of the Week is my favorite thing to do because I get to find people that are just soaking up everything. And in this case, it's another former Gator who is our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week, and his name is Bradley Beal. Now, Bradley Beal, of course, signed with Phoenix, huge deal. He's still got $110 million left on the deal. But there is talk that they're going to try to buy him out. Now, I don't know how that works. Do you give him 2/3 of that? Half of that, whatever it is, and try to get him out? Because he's been hurt a lot. I still think Brad Beal's a good player. And then he can go wherever he wants. This is kind of the Damian Lillard situation, although I think Lillard is a little bit more respected as a player. But, yeah, we want the money. We're going to go ahead and collect this money and go ahead and play for another team and get their money too. That's sponging your money, man. That's a way to do it. And he is our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week, Brad Beal. We appreciate Gallo Car Wash. Let us move along to Gators 101 with Steve and Christine Wendig. They present it every week, and we appreciate Steve and Christine. In fact, we had lunch set up last week. Now we're going to lunch next week, I think, maybe Friday. And they're going to try to do some different things with sponsorship that we appreciate. So this is one that when we were talking about this, I go, well, here's one thing I could do. And one of the things I wanted to do was, what is my favorite softball game to cover? Christine and Steve are really big into softball, and we appreciate them for that. Of course, they did the circle during softball season, but my favorite game was in 2013 in Oklahoma City. 2013, I don't know how many of you were there or watched it. It was pretty late. It was not good for deadline purposes, I can tell you that, but it still was my favorite game. Game lasted 5 hours and 20 minutes. There were 534 pitches thrown in the game. Lauren Hager got the win in relief and threw 7 1/3, I think. She relieved Hannah Rogers. No, maybe Hannah came in after that. It was just a wild game. And it ended, I'll never forget this play. I wrote her name down, Tatum Edwards. Yes, Tatum Edwards is trying to go to third. Remember, the ball got deflected off Hannah Rogers. Yeah, she was in the game, and it bounced out in the outfield. Outfielder threw it. Tosti got it, tagged her out. She said she never even got to the base. Other people were saying, well, she got tagged because she left the base after she slid in. I think she blocked her. That was a replay I saw. But anyway, that ended the game in the bottom of the 15th inning. Now, Nebraska had come back to tie the game with 3 in the 7th, and then came back with a solo homer after, I'm trying to think of her name. I'm blanking on her name, but a young lady hit one. I can't believe I can't think of her name. Hit one in the top of the inning in the 10th, and then they hit one in the bottom of the 10th. Anyway, it was an amazing game. 15 innings, best softball game I ever saw. One of the longest that ever gone on at Oklahoma City. And by the way, I can't remember her name. I do remember the name of Curlin's brother is Rivers. Yep. Yes, which is like Rivers Phoenix, I guess. Maybe they took it from that. And he's from Jacksonville, or Gainesville. Anyway, that is our Gators 101, my favorite softball game ever. Now, it helps that Florida won. They went on to face Washington in an elimination game. Anyway. All right, let's move along to our BMI TeleMed Overachiever of the Week. You know, our friends at BMI TeleMed, they do things right. If you want to give them a call, 727-383-1677. Achieve and maintain with your weight loss specialist. They will get you started and get 10% off if you mention that you heard this commercial on another duly noted podcast. So it's working for me, and it'll work for you. Let us get to our BMI TeleMed Overachiever of the Week. Coach mentioned him, Brian Campbell, the guy who won the tournament, has now won 2 tournaments. And you know what he's done in the rest of his tournaments? No top 30s. So he's a boom or bust guy all the way. But, hey, look, I guarantee you he would trade, or he wouldn't trade 2 wins for finishing 5th, 6th, and 8th. No, you want to win tournaments, and he's done them both in playoffs. And I give him a lot of credit. That is overachieving when you can't make the cut, or you make the cut, but you can't finish in the top 30, except the 2 tournaments you win. And we appreciate BMI TeleMed and Brian Campbell, and we appreciate him too. Let us move along to our Gainesville Quarterback Club segment. They've got the date set for July 22nd for the next one. Believe it or not, every time they have set a date, it's been when my colonoscopy's been scheduled. This one I'm going through with, I think I can still make it and, I never know what I might say when I've got those kind of drugs that you get for a colonoscopy. But anyway, I'm looking forward to. I don't know that they've established that it is going to be Katie Turner, but I think it's going to be her. But if not, they'll have somebody. It'll be a great time. It's always good just to go to the quarterback club, and of course the big gala coming up at the end of August when Billy Donovan comes. That's going to be cool. I'll be dressed up nice. So if you really like that, I mean, if you really want to get in the club just to see me dress up and tell a few jokes, this is the time for you. All right. That is our Gainesville Quarterback Club. Comment. What is it? No, it's a update is what I should say it is. And hopefully we'll be able to give you one next Monday that we'll firm that up. Let us move along to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things brought to you by our good friends at Hesser and Kipke. Of course, you know them for all your needs for workers' compensation and family law. 352-339-9920 or www.hklawfl.com. I did get a picture from Ken over in the United Kingdom. I'm not real happy. He gets to do everything I want to do. I'm not fair. All right, Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Start off with the Nationals firing their manager and general manager. Dave Martinez, of course, was their manager. They let him go. They want a fresh approach. Yeah, you know what would be fresh? If you guys quit stinking. Now, don't forget, they just won, what was it, 19? That they won the 2019, the World Championship? I remember Chris Harry went up for the final game, or it might have been the game 6, because he's a big Nats fan, but since then, they have just gone right off the rails, and so they fired everybody, and that's what you do when you're not good. You fire everybody, and they did. And now they'll have a fresh approach. Fresh as a summer's breeze. Summer's Eve. All right, let's move along on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things to number 2, and that is that apparently we lost in soccer again. This time it was the finals of the Gold Cup, whatever that is. There's always a tournament going on with soccer, isn't there? Like now you got to try to win the World Cup, then you got to try to win the stupid cup, you know. And to me, that's where there's no season for soccer. You play all year. Maybe if there was like a season, but I don't know. Don't get me started on soccer. But we lost 2-1, and everybody's like, well, we learned a lot of good lessons from this, blah, blah, blah. You lost 2-1. Here's a lesson. Score more than the other team. There you go. That was free of charge. But anyway, we lost. USA, USA, USA. You would think that with the 4th of July that we would win, you know, but no. Apparently there was a handball that was a big issue, so maybe they cheated, trying to get back at us for whatever. Mexico. Well, we can think of some things. Anyway, all right, let's get to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, and that is that USA Today came out with their top 25 quarterbacks coming into this season for college. And I don't agree with their number 1, Cole Klubnik, but you know, I think there's a lot of people that are very high on Clemson. And I think next week we're going to talk a little bit about some of these teams that people are high on that maybe they shouldn't be. But Clemson, I don't know whether Clemson's won them or not. I kind of need to go Phil Steele and get deep into the woods on that and find out exactly how good they're going to be. Klubnik to me is a nice quarterback. He's a nice college quarterback. They're talking about him being the first pick in the draft. I don't see that, but maybe I need to pay more attention. DJ Lagway was ranked number 7 in the country on that list. Now, again, you got Arch Manning up there. You got Nussmeier. The kid from Arizona State, Levitt, is up there. So, I mean, Lagway's mentioned. That's good. I almost want Lagway to get no attention until late October. I don't want anybody to notice him. I just want him to do what he needs to do, win games. Then you get to that point, you start thinking about the Heisman and stuff, okay. But I don't want too much attention coming his way. But that's me. I'm a weird person that way. Anyway, he was number 7. That was the USA Today Top 25. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. let us wrap it up as we always do with our Swamp Games of the Week. And I really should start putting Love Island down here because that's where everybody's going to the Swamp Restaurant to watch Love Island, which I won't watch in my office, but these youngsters today, these kids, they like to watch the sex stuff. I don't know. I don't get it. All right, let's give you what we will give you. This is all G-rated, mostly. Tuesday night, the Dodgers are at the Brewers on TBS. That game is at 7:40. Wednesday night, Mets at the Orioles, ESPN, 7 o'clock. So a couple good games there to watch. If you're looking for something to watch, you know Wimbledon is on all the time on ESPN up until about, I don't know, whatever time it gets dark over there, 3 o'clock. So 3 o'clock over there would be, what, 8 o'clock? I think it's 5 hours or difference now that we have daylight savings. Anyway, you know it's on all the time. I'm not going to try to give you the schedule of who's playing. We know Ben Shelton's playing right now, and we're going to go home and watch it. Hopefully, we can still watch it. But it's on all week. And, of course, I still love Sunday morning watching the men's finals at Wimbledon. It's a cool thing. Get up early, get some strawberries and cream, maybe a mimosa or a mimosa, either one. All right, so also the Scottish Open is on this week. It's always a tune-up. A lot of guys go right over there after the John Deere and play in it because it is a big tournament, a lot of money in it. $9 million is the purse. It is on the Golf Channel, 10:30 in the morning to 2 in the morning. And then it goes to CBS on Saturday and Sunday, 12 to 3 o'clock. So that's where you watch that. But for all 4 days, it's on from 10:30 to 2 on the Golf Channel. So I love morning golf. I love morning football. I love morning baseball. I love anything that's going on in the morning that's sports because then you go, I don't have anything. I'm flipping around. Oh, I forgot this was going on. Okay. Even like the Tour de France, you'll stop there for a while or Roland Garros, anything like that. At least there's something to watch. All right. So that is our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. We'll be back after vacation. We're going to try to enjoy our time off. I know Zach is too, and he will enjoy his vacation. And we will be back to see you next Monday with Coach Spurrier, and Robbie Andrew will be back as well. We look forward to it. Until then, for Zach Rothrock, I am Pat Dooley. We are deep, we are way back, and we are out of here.